All righty. I'm so excited to talk to you today. So I want you to tell your name and your...
Really old.
No.
Carol
not
Lewis.
that much different.
Oh, girl. I was on the 80 team.
And I disclosed my age to somebody, so everybody knows.
So I was on the 1980, 84, and 88 Olympic teams in the sport of track and field, and my event was the long jump.
Awesome. And you come from a super, super athletic family. Tell me a little bit about how that was.
Well, it's really interesting because my mom was actually a world-class athlete.
Okay.
She was a hurdler, and she was on the 1951 Pan American Games team that went to Argentina. And she was a hurdler as well. And in fact, she should have made the 1952 Olympic team, but she was doing a photo shoot for Life magazine and pulled her hamstring. So she did not make the team, but she did. She is in Life magazine in 1952. So it's really cool. I was in Colorado and I was in an old town and I found her magazine.
Oh my goodness.
They had like a pile of Life magazines and I was digging through and I opened it and there's my mom from Life. You know what? I'm not sure she has one anymore. You know how it is. You move and it's in a box. I think nowadays it's so much easier to keep because you put it in one of those tubs and it never like collapses.
Yeah.
But I bought a couple of those for her and it was really kind of neat to see it because I had heard about it but never seen it. But when you have a mom like that and growing up in New Jersey, she started a track program in our community for women because they didn't have any athletics for women. And then that's how Carl and I really got started. But I do have an older brother who played professional soccer. He played college soccer at Brandeis. They won a couple NCAA championships. He was drafted into the soccer league back in the day. He played along with Pele and Beckenbauer and those guys. My oldest brother ran track but had an injury. And, back in the 70s when you had a hamstring injury and it really didn't come back. I mean, we look at how much sports medicine has changed where, people are rupturing Achilles and they're back on the court in 6 months, which would have never happened in the past. But, and then, of course, here comes Carl and I really young and started long jumping. And, I think I kind of, in some ways, the rest is history. Both my parents, my dad played football in college. They went to Tuskegee Institute, which is now Tuskegee University. And they both played sports back then. And that's how they met. But my mom also played basketball. She played tennis against Althea Gibson in college. So, I mean, she was probably the one. I mean, she was a physical education and health teacher as well. So she was very, very athletic. And I definitely think our love of sports came mostly from my mom, but from both my parents.
Such an athletic family. So tell me a little bit about, when you were younger and thinking like, I want to make an Olympic team one day. When was that moment that you were like, oh, that's what I want to do?
Well, for us too, since we were so into the Olympic Games, and of course my mom had almost made it, we were that family that got a new TV every 4 years because the Olympics was coming. We'd say, okay, every 4 years we're going to get a brand new TV and we're going to upgrade so that we could watch the Olympics together. And we would watch the Olympic summer and winter Olympic Games together and cheer for Team USA and watch all the events. And so at a pretty young age, we were already, had that on our radar. Carl and I, my parents started our track and field team in 1969. So I was like 5 and Carl was like 7. So we started running really young, but I think they really wanted a free babysitter, really. I mean, they get us to the track, we run around and we get home and we like out like a light. And they're thinking, this is awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
And, what a healthy way to do it. You're out there running around and stuff, but, that's how we really got started. And, I think for both of us, it was just something we did. When we were really young and couldn't help, we'd help at the track meets and things like that and help count medals and hand out stuff. And then it just became a time when we were starting to compete as well. And, you go out there when you're that age, you ran the 100 to 200 to 400 to 800 and a mile. And you're running the mile like, why am I doing this? But you're just out there running along. And your mom and dad are going, oh, they're going to sleep tonight, I'm sure. And then we go home and zonk out. So they were happy with that.
I love that. So we talk to athletes a lot about all the triumph. And when we see the Olympics, we see all the good stuff.
Yes.
Right? But there is a lot of hard stuff and challenges that happen along the way, too. It's not just like an easy trajectory. It's very
absolutely.
Up and down. So tell me a little bit about some of those moments or a moment in particular that was just a challenging time.
Well, I think a lot of people don't realize it, or a lot of people don't remember it. Carl was not that great of an athlete, so he was like a senior in high school. At age 14, I long jumped further at age 14 than Carl did.
Well, that's a
And
good
he,
claim to fame.
you know, in our family, my oldest brother's 9 years older than me, so there was a gap between my older two brothers and myself, and Carl. And you know, he was a late bloomer in the sense that he did not grow until he was like his junior year in high school. So he was always pretty scrawny, and my parents would be like, "Okay, so let's work on the technique now, and then you have to grow at some point. You cannot possibly be 5'6" your entire life," which was the same height as my mom. And so he really worked on technique and stuff, and he'd go to track meets and lose over and over and over, you know, and then all of a sudden, his junior year in high school, he had a big, huge growth spurt. And that's when he started getting on the other side. But the funny thing is that after all those years of working on technique and stuff, his technique was always flawless. So it was kind of the matter of catching up to your athletic ability. But I think in any athlete, you know, for anybody to believe that an athlete will get to the highest level without having losses and without having days where they want to quit or hating it or tired or anything like that, they're delusional. I think, you know, and also understanding that you will not always win. We're raising a society of children that think that they should make every team, and that is not only is that not the fact in sports when you get to a high level, but that's not the fact in real life. You know, and I think we do our children a disservice by doing that, because it's easier to learn it when you're a kid. You know, you come off the field and you're crying and you're like, "Oh, we lost," and then they say, "How about pizza?" Okay, remember you were so resilient, and those are really great lessons to learn for a child. Because they have to learn that they're going to lose some and they're going to win some. But it's the resilience. It's the athletes with the resilience that they can come back and learn from that. Like 3 years ago, my husband and I, Scott, went to the Rafael Nadal Academy in Mallorca. It was awesome, by the way. It's awesome. It's beautiful. And they had a little kids tournament there. And, you know, these are like 10, 11, 12-year-old kids. And I ended up talking to one little kid, and he was crying because he didn't win. And I said, "How'd you do?" "Oh, I lost. I'm horrible." I said, "What did you learn?" And he looked at me for a minute, and I said, "What did you learn about yourself?" And he sat there and he thought about it. And he told me, and I said, "So what are you going to work on when you go home?" And he looked at me and he goes, "I have to work on those things." You know, those are lessons learned. I mean, and that's one thing I will say about Carl in his career. He was never afraid to lose. You know, you sometimes look at people that have these long winning streaks, and you know, in Europe, they'll make sure that the people who might be able to beat them are not in the race. And neither had I. I mean, I competed back in the day when there was a lot of Eastern Bloc athletes competing, and you stand there and you're going, "What is going on?" But you know what? In the end, you have to do your best. You know, if you can walk off the field and you can say, "I competed at my ultimate best," you might have gotten first, second, third, fifth, ninth, last place. But if you have competed to the best of your ability, it's incredibly important for you to take that particular lesson at that point and then look at things that you can maybe change in your diet or in your training or in your preparation in order for you to do something better the next time. But if you have done your best in a competition, that's all you can do, really, truly. And you have to be happy with it.
Yeah, I love that. So someone out there is looking to awaken their Olympian within. What would be your advice?
You know what? Find something you'd like to do. And, you know, again, when I talk to kids, I said, you know, a lot of kids think that they're going to be an Olympian. It may not be in the cards for you. But the Olympics is not always, "Hey, baby, how are you? Good to see you." Yes, I am. But Greg Louganis just stopped by, and he's absolutely amazing. He has to stick his head in here and say hi.
Say hi. Say hi, Greg.
Hi. We've been friends since 1980 Olympic team.
This is Greg Louganis. So anybody that's around my age, you were like my hero when I was little. One of the first athletes that I was ever like, I have to make an Olympic team one day.
Oh, sweet. Well, thanks for coming.
Diver Greg Louganis. Well, that was a special little treat.
No, 1980 we became friends. On the 80 Olympic team. So
he was truly one of my heroes.
Oh, me too. I was a diver.